have your attention, please? So many of you are new to the Pentagon. I see your awesome V things that you've got. Can we please put those in your pockets? So for all imagery that's collected here or shared within the Pentagon, we want to make sure we don't show our badges. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the launch of Build Freedom. We're so happy to have each and every one of you here today. I want to specifically thank our partners from across many government agencies, industry, education, labor, workforce, and across the board, and anywhere and everywhere in between for joining us and making this a priority. We appreciate you here today. Your presence here reflects an understanding of just how important America's military advantage is and how important not only the platforms that we use, but the people that operate them are. We're living in an era of strategic competition unlike anything we've seen in decades. Our ability to deter conflict, sustain readiness, and prevail overall depends on resilience from the industrial base. And like many of you understand, that base is powered by American workers. Every ship that sails, every submarine that patrols, every aircraft that takes the skies, every microchip, munition, and critical technology that our warfighters rely on begins with a skilled workforce. Today, we face a significant challenge, making sure our workforce is able to meet that demand. Across the defense industrial base, employers, like many of you in here, and the conversations we've had over the past several years, understand that demand is growing and growing every day. But that's why Build Freedom matters. That's why this initiative is so much more than a website or jobs. It's a movement. It's a movement that's listened to everyone who's mentioned and has spoken over the past several decades how important the industrial base is. Build Freedom serves as a national platform to elevate these opportunities to amplify success stories and bring together partners for a shared mission. Build Freedom US is an IBAS-funded workforce initiative that's specifically designed to inspire, connect, and grow the talent pipeline needed for the American defense industrial base. Through IBAS and the Department of War, we've invested more than $500 million specifically in workforce programs and initiatives specifically designed to close these gaps. Build Freedom will continue to grow and continue to close those gaps. And gentlemen, can I please have our video?
I want to show you something. I don't want to overstate it, but it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, it's buildfreedom.us, but you could just as easily call it buildfreedom.us, because this website is for everyone. When you visit, you'll find hundreds of thousands of essential jobs waiting to be filled. I'm talking about AI-proof six-figure jobs, building the next generation of critical tools and essential infrastructure that every American relies on. These jobs are in demand like never before, and they don't require a college degree, but they do require training and work ethic and a desire to build something that truly matters. My foundation has the money to help you get the training you need. It's all waiting at that website, along with the genuine opportunity to build a secure future for you and your family. Buildfreedom.us. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about us. These fireworks are brought to you by the hardworking men and women who are building freedom every single day. Happy birthday, America. Build freedom.
Mr. Rowe talks about a very important line anytime he's talked about this program. You know, U.S., to many of us, symbolizes the work that our warfighters do across the country. But what we are is we're America's home team back here with the American industrial base. What most importantly is, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about us. And someone who absolutely understands that challenge more than most and has been a champion fighting for the industrial base is our Assistant Secretary of War, Mr. Michael Catanazzi, who I would love for you to join me to welcome him to the stage now.
Wow, this is amazing. What a start to the day and to July, and I'm honored to be here with so many incredible industry leaders, workforce leaders, government officials, partners, and friends, and I'd like to special thank you to Undersecretary Mike Duffy for taking the time to participate in his sponsorship of me in this program and this team and what we're building, and Mr. Mike Rowe for his partnership. You're a little difficult to track down, but once I did, it's been a great discussion since then. It's outstanding to be here, and I'm excited to be a part of this. I also got told today that the presidential prayer team has me on their list for the day. So like we are winning July. So this is a good thing. We've been talking about demographic crisis in the skilled trades for a long time. That's been exacerbated by events, changes in economic behavior, the COVID crisis, things and incentives in society that have changed and moved generations of workers away from the embrace of the skilled trades. And that's something we're here to go ahead not only to talk about, but I think there's a lot of talk about it. People know about this crisis. We're here to do something about it. And under the leadership of Secretary Hegseth, Deputy Feinberg, Honorable Duffy, we're taking action in that regard. The Secretary has talked often about working from the factory to the foxhole. In my own talks, I've tried to talk about the wizards behind the warriors, that is, the skilled tradespeople, the scientists and engineers that make all this work. Today, we're going to focus on the critical need for additional skilled trades. I was at this idea of trying to go ahead and take the amazing work of the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Program and unifying and leveling it up. 40-plus programs, hundreds of millions a year in spend, and taking it to the next level. That is to go ahead and provide a framework for us to expand that, to invest further, and to accelerate and scale. And we've done that with sponsorship and funding from the Congress, which brings a very bipartisan approach to this. And I thank them for the resources and the support to move ahead. We're launching Build Freedom, which is already scaled to 70-plus programs, hundreds of millions of dollars of additional spend, and incredible visibility across the country. These projects that we're uniting and that we're supporting with Build Freedom do their heavy lifting, from Honolulu Community College to Danville, Virginia, from the Gulf Coast up to Michigan, and everywhere in between, with more things happening every single week. The team's got an amazing set of ideas. And I think it's been incredible to see the support for communities to go ahead and bring these ideas forward and turn them into action. The purpose of today's launch, Alicia covered it really well, and I have to go ahead and make a specific point of thanking Alicia, Kristen, Matt, John, Jeff, the entire Build Freedom team for what they've done in an incredibly short period of time. I've been here for 8 or 9 months. We started talking about this the very first couple weeks on board, and they've made this vision happen incredibly quickly. So thank you to you for your leadership, Chris Rick, your leadership and support for this. This does not happen without them dogging this every day, and I apologize for harassing you constantly for details. So we're going to go ahead and take this forward here. We're not just building careers for today. As Mike laid out in the video, we're talking about building careers for the future, AI-proof, 6-figure jobs, the ability to work across the country, and to really meet a demand for the future that is at the heart of everything we're trying to do with reindustrializing the country and scaling the industrial base for the future. It takes a profound level of leadership and commitment to go ahead and drive that, and someone who has that in deep, and holds these requirements in deep regard is my boss, the Honorable Mike Duffy. Please.
Well, good morning. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome to the Hall of Heroes here in the Pentagon. I can't think of a better location for us to celebrate this great initiative, surrounded by the names of men and women who've made great personal sacrifice, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our country and the freedoms that we hold dear. Take, for example, Major James Howard, Congressional Medal of Honor winner, a P-51 Mustang pilot from the Army Air Corps back in World War II. January 11th, 1944, he was escorting bombers back from a German raid when 30 German fighters ambushed the bomber fleet and separated from his squadron, spent 30 minutes as a one-man air force taking down 24 German fighters. The bomber pilots, after they returned home safely, put in their mission report, it was the greatest demonstration of sheer guts they'd ever seen. And so we rightly recognize these heroes in this room. But there's an unsung hero in that story. The P-51 Mustang was an aircraft that was built from contract to prototype in 117 days. Taking a British engine and an American aircraft, the North American Aviation Company and Rolls-Royce, and they reduced the time to produce that aircraft from thousands of hours to a fraction of that, so they could produce 15,000 aircraft in the span of the war and ensure that we had the arsenal that we needed, the arsenal of democracy that we needed to defeat the axis of evil. Throughout our history, the industrial strength of the United States has proven to be decisive in our ability to maintain military advantage. Whether it's the Ford Motor Company that was producing a bomber, a B-24 bomber every 63 minutes off a mile-long assembly line, to the precision weapons of today, American industry and the workforce and the personnel that go in every day and take their share of defending the nation is critical to the defense of our freedoms. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth recognized the need for us to not only maintain peace through strength, but peace through industrial strength. And so they've charged us with the mission of reinvigorating the industrial base, rebuilding the military, and reindustrializing our manufacturing base. Mike Cadenazzi is somebody who recognized it. When he first came on the job, Mike took the initiative to assemble his team and create not just another training program, but an initiative in Build Freedom that will inspire the next generation to take that career path, to build that skill set that's essential to ensuring that we maintain that decisive battlefield advantage. And Mike Cadenazzi had that vision to seek out Mike Rowe. I can't think of a better spokesman, a better cultural icon who can be here to deliver this message, to be a spokesman for our need to inspire that next generation of men and women to take on the skills and the trades that's required, the machinists, the welders, that will form the next generation of our defense industrial base. So without further ado, Mike Rowe, thank you very much.
Well, hell, this is the greatest day of my professional life. I'm humbled, which doesn't happen a lot, and grateful, which happens all the time. On a macro level, everything you just said resonates so perfectly and so metaphorically. That P-51, without the maintenance, without the concerted effort, without the will to build the thing and maintain it along the way, we don't have any heroes in this hall without the guys who did that. So on a macro level, I am just blown away to be here in front of all you guys. Everything in my world is macro or micro. And so I'll talk to you briefly on a micro level about how this happened. My business partner, Mary Sullivan, is in the back there checking emails, probably illegally. Mary, I only mention her because about a year ago, before he was even appointed, back when he was nominated, Mike Cadenazzi reached out to my partner to say, hey, I've been following your work at mikeroweWORKS, and I think maybe there's something over at the Pentagon that might rhyme with your mission, blah, blah, blah. And Mary was like, yeah. Boom. And that was that, because it's a true story. She literally blew him off, I think twice. And then he actually rose to this level, and he said, maybe this guy's serious. And Mary and I had a good laugh when we finally came here to meet one of the most serious and good-natured and committed patriots I've had the pleasure to shake hands with. Thank you for being persistent, because Mary's skepticism was was well rooted. 15 years earlier, when Dirty Jobs was at its zenith and our country was slipping into a recession, the unemployment rate in this country was creeping up to around 12%. And back in those days, 2008, 2009, we were just discussing out in the lobby how the thing that dominated every headline were the number of men and women in this country who weren't working. Unemployment was the story of the day. But on Dirty Jobs, everywhere we went, we saw help wanted signs. It was one of the most extraordinary disconnects that I'd ever seen. How could there be 2.5 million open positions in this country that didn't require a 4-year degree, but training, where 12 million men and women weren't working? It seemed like somebody ought to be talking about the skills gap, or maybe the will gap, or if nothing else, just the opportunities that existed in our economy that weren't getting any love. So my foundation began as a PR campaign to reinvigorate the skilled trades by making a more persuasive case for a lot of those jobs and for the men and women who had been doing them. Anyhow, it was fun to talk at the grown-up table about an issue that wasn't so firmly associated with dirty jobs, right? I mean, I promoted that show for many years through the lens of exploding toilets and misadventures in animal husbandry and all of those things I remember with great fondness. But the idea that we could talk about that show through the dignity of work, the nobility of the skilled trades, that was something the country was eager to hear, and I was delighted to keep mouthing off about it. In fact, I went to Congress 15 years ago and testified before some committee. It was Rockefeller, I believe, was chairing it. And I said, look, fellas, I'm not an expert and I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm pretty sure if we don't close this skills gap, if we don't get in front of this now and make a more persuasive case for all these open jobs, if we don't do something to counteract the narrative that the best path for the most people is a 4-year degree and anybody who doesn't take that path is somehow going to get a vocational consolation prize. If we don't challenge all of that in a meaningful way, the gap is going to continue to widen, student debt is going to continue to grow, and we are going to wind up with a workforce that's dangerously out of balance. We also took shop class out of high school. Many of you are old enough to remember that, which I believe will be looked back upon as the greatest misstep in the history of modern education. A lot of things conspired to make the attempt to reinvigorate the skilled trades mission critical, in my view. And today, of course, we have $1.7 trillion in outstanding student debt. And we have 7.1 million open jobs, many in the DIB. And we have nearly 7 million able-bodied men, for reasons no one can quite explain, who are not only not working, but not looking for work, which has never happened in peacetime before, not in this country. So there are a lot of interesting things that have conspired to make an attempt to reinvigorate the trades, something that should be taken seriously. And when I left Congress 15 years ago, no one disagreed with me. Men and women on both sides of the aisle thanked me and assured me we'd look into it. And 2 years later, I hadn't really heard anything back, so I went to the Senate and I testified there. I didn't exactly pitch Build Freedom, but I did pitch a targeted, deliberate attempt to change the perception of the jobs in question. And they all agreed to, and people on both sides of the aisle called Mary, said, we ought to do something. We said, we're standing by, and you know how it goes. 15 years later, you called, and that's why we blew you off the first time. I didn't know. But you meant it. Honorable Duffy, you meant it. And your team is extraordinary, Mike. I feel like I can call you Mike because I interviewed you on my podcast, so you're Mike. But look, this is basically what I pitched a decade and a half ago. And on a micro level, to stand here in this hall and watch the circle square, it's difficult to know what to say other than thanks. Back to macro, it is a matter of national security. I can't overstate it. Not a day goes by where Mary doesn't get a call from some leader of some consequential industry in our country who is freaking out. They've done the math. They know that for every 5 tradespeople that retire, 2 come in. It's been that way for nearly 12 years. The math is not on our side. The stigmas, stereotypes, myths, and misperceptions that we deal with every day, those can be confronted, those can be changed. This campaign is an attempt to do that. That was an introductory spot that you saw. As time goes on, you'll see much more personal spots. You'll hear directly from men and women who have prospered in the DIB as a direct result of mastering a skill that's in demand. If I could go back in time, I'd find the people who worked on that P-51, and I would interview them, and I would ask them how they felt when they read the story of the man who displayed more guts than anybody had ever seen. We're going to drag all that forward. We're going to make a persuasive case. We're going to make a patriotic case, but we're also going to make a personal case. We're going to show people that they can support a family and revel in the joy of meaningful work by building freedom. That's the micro and the macro of this campaign. Again, I'm humbled and grateful and a little weirded out to be here, but mostly I'm just so glad to have a chance to stand and say thanks in front of you all and in front of the cameras. I will not squander this.
I had a sergeant major in the Marine Corps tell me a long time ago that a lot of people like to run their mouths and like to talk, but not a lot of people like to have action. I'm one of the very few people in this world, I think, that can truly look at the leaders that are ahead of me and be thankful for their action. And today, we are putting true action forward. So without further ado, can I please have you gentlemen come step forward? Dr. Schaff, can you step forward? We are going to be presenting the Micro Foundation with a check. Mr. Kadnazi. On behalf of Build Freedom, this check is for the Micro Foundation for $10 million for us to truly put action forward to sponsor scholarships for men and women in the defense industrial base.
Not bad. Good Lord, should I say something else? I feel like I should say something else. I don't know. But look, as long as we're standing here, it's every penny of this check goes to work ethic scholarships for men and women in the DIB. But since the cameras are pointed at us, I should also say that if we're smart, we'll use this as a catalyst. And we will spread the word, and we're going to disseminate this exact photo that's being taken right now. And I'm going to ask the leaders of every consequential company in our country, maybe not to quite match it, but you get the idea. If we can get a significant amount of money standing by, guaranteed to trade men and women in a trade, then the rest, I believe, will fall into place. You started it. Mary, thanks for taking this call. Good move. Never know really where to put these things.
Here, I'll hold it.
I'm going to need a bigger wallet.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure my husband sees that. He'll be surprised. All right, at this time, we're going to take a small break because we're going to be setting up for the panel that we're going to have here in just a few minutes. So if you need to take a restroom or if you want to come out and get some water or some of the swag, please do so. We're going to just take probably about 2 or 3 minutes just to set back up. Okay, thank you.